In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 common mistakes that all beginner colored pencil artists need to avoid. And it's important you stick around for the entire video because you don't want to be doing any of these. And if you're new here, my name is Tom and I've spent thousands of hours creating hundreds of realistic drawings of pretty much anything you can think of. So mistake number 1 is to combine your colored pencil shading with graphite pencil shading. And the reason you don't want to be doing this is because colored pencils and graphite pencils have cores that are made of entirely different things. So when you do try to combine them together, they don't interact with one another very well, like at all, and create this really messy and scratchy look. And I do understand why beginner artists do it. I mean, heck, I used colored pencils and graphite pencils together when I was starting out, and it's because you've got a limited number of colored pencils. So you look at the graphite pencils and you're thinking, I could use this as a gray colored pencil substitute. But as I've just said, because the cores are made of very different things, when you try to mix them together, they just slide over one another and create this really blotchy and unaesthetically pleasing look. So what I'd recommend doing instead is investing in a set of colored pencils that has some gray colored pencils in it. And the ones that I'd recommend that are also super affordable for beginners are the Ohuhu Halawa pencils, and you can check out my review of them over here. So mistake number 2 is applying too little pressure or too much pressure with the pencils. So if you apply too little pressure, what you'll end up with is a finish that looks very unsaturated and washed out. And the reason this happens is because you haven't pushed the colored pencil pigment into the tooth or the grain of the paper. So you still get those little white speckles showing through the pigment layer, which is what is tinting it and making it not look as vibrant as it could. And if you apply too much pressure, you'll end up oversaturating the page very quickly, so you can't actually add any more details on top, because any more colored pencil pigment that you're trying to put on top will just slide over and just won't grip to the paper because you've already filled those paper grains with pigment. And the way to fix this issue is to work in lots of layers where you're gradually pressing harder and harder with the pencils as you become happier that what you've got down is in keeping with either the vision you've got in your head or what's on the reference photo. And it's this method of layering that has allowed me to create some pretty awesome realistic drawings, even with the cheapest colored pencils that I could find. Now, the third and final mistake is using pencil strokes that don't follow the curvature or the form of the subject. And to help explain this, if you take your brain back to when you were like 7 or 8 in like art class and shading in very simple 3D shapes, do you remember how you had to use pencil strokes that were wrapping around that basic shape? And by having them wrapping around, it made it look really nice in 3D. And it's this exact same principle that you can then go and apply to the drawings that you're doing from your imagination or more complex subjects from reference photos, because those more complex subjects are literally just made up of those simpler shapes. And I cannot stress how important it is that you are doing this, because if you're using pencil strokes that are all sporadic and going in crazy different directions, then it just will never look realistic. Right, so there you go, a very quick video. I hope at least one of these tips has been helpful, and if it is, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I shall see you in the next one, which will appear on screen right over here. So yeah, I shall see you over there.